Well, guys, non-binary pals, we have a surprise today. I found this little gem, this little nugget at Target today. Last one there, the only one there. It wasn't even in the right spot. It was like off hidden somewhere, and I just happened to run into it. This is Space Usagi, The Adventures of Space Usagi, Ninja Turtles, the cartoon series. This is part of the cartoon series, and I don't have a lot of videos up for the cartoon series because I don't have a lot of the cartoon series. I only have 6 or 7 or so, and most of them are actually still sealed, but they're older figures, so I have no idea if people are interested in me opening them up and blabbing my mouth because they're not new. If you are, let me know, I guess. But I did just open regular Usagi not too long ago, and it was an amazing figure. I loved it. I loved a lot of the details about it, and Usagi is a ballin' character, and this is Space Usagi, which technically now, this is actually not the same Usagi. This is Miyamoto Usagi II. Got that? So like I explained in the original Usagi video, that Usagi is a creator-owned character, Stan Sakai, and he owns complete creative control of the character to this day. He could do whatever he wants with them. And there's definitely been different versions of him over the years. There's been the original, Samurai Usagi from 1984. But in 1993, and a little before then, we'll get into it in a second, but in 1993 was the first appearance of Space Usagi, which is basically, it was almost like a retelling of Usagi, but, in space. And it was a standalone title. It had 3 story arcs. The first 2 were published by Mirage, and then Dark Horse Comics picked up the 3rd one. And there was a couple promotional pictures and stuff in issues of Ninja Turtles. I believe issue 46 and 47 of the Mirage series. I don't have a picture of them. But also, according to Rare TMNT on Blogspot, his actual real first ever printed appearance was some promotional shots, which were from a comic called Amazing Heroes, number 187, even before the series and before TMNT 46 and 47 teased him. And Space Usagi is actually coming back. I believe Stan Sakai has talked about bringing him back in a modern sense, which is maybe some of the hype for this figure, now that this figure is here. Because I believe they're working on a new comic, maybe even a new show based on Usagi. And you must be saying, all he's talking about is the comic books. This is a cartoon figure. And no, Space Usagi was never in, as far as I understand, was never in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon. However, they actually did make a pilot for a Space Usagi cartoon, which I'll show some of right now. And so out of all the shots and everything I've seen of this figure, I haven't seen this exact uniform. So I think this is like an reimagining of Space Usagi with sort of some modernizations and stuff, with a cool new uniform, cool new accessories and stuff, but it's not necessarily exactly it's definitely not from the pilot. In the cartoon pilot, he had a blue outfit on. And even through the comic books, his costume changed all the time. But as far as I know, this is pretty, again, I hate to say it, but rare at this point. It's a Target exclusive, and I don't know. I haven't seen it online anywhere. I'm sure people have had it by now. But I don't know. I'm just excited about it. I had to get it. Usagi's a cool character. He fits right in with the Turtles. So now that we've talked about everything in the world, in his history, who he comes, where he comes from, and all that good stuff, let's actually take a look at the figure itself finally. So here's the box. Obviously, it's the normal cartoon presentation with the yellow around the outside. Cool art right there. The Adventures of Space Usagi, just like it's a, title of an old, VHS TV serial. And bam, there he is. Windowed packaging. You can see everything in there. He's got a ton of accessories. And this actually was a good price too. He's only $32.99 rather than $30, $34, $36 that some NECA figures have been creeping up to. So judging by the accessories, I definitely think that's worth it. You got your body shot right there with his cool space helmet on, floating in outer space. The side is just like the cartoon boxes, just like I said before. Turtles, the title, volume number 12. All right, back of the box, you have some more cool art, sort of a space dojo right there. That's definitely one of the coolest parts of the series, how, Stan Sakai just sort of imagined, feudal Japan crossed with sort of a futuristic, like, space station. Like, it's a really cool vibe if you actually look at the old comic books. Obviously, a little synopsis of the story right there. The action shots right here. He does have his little dino that he had in the first one. It does have the same name. The original one was Spot. This one is Spot, but it's abbreviated for something. I don't know what it's abbreviated for. Sorry. But these shots look really cool. All right, if you have any more questions about Space Usagi, let me know in the comments below. And like I said, if you want me to open up more cartoon stuff, even though it's old stuff, let me know too. Ooh, this is exciting. I want to see it. Alright, so Space Usagi is out, and the first thing that I notice again with him is how small he is. And I don't know why it surprises me. There's a window in the package. I can see the figure, I'm not blind. But it's still surprising when you get them out. And I really like the design of the costume. And I'm not 100% sure if this is a unique costume just for this figure. Because, like I said, the way I understand this figure, Space Usagi, from NECA, is it's Space Usagi, but it's done in the style of the cartoons, even though he wasn't in the cartoons. So I don't know if this is his new outfit for the new Space Usagi they're working on. This is one of his random appearances in the comic book, which could be, because he actually had a lot of different outfits in his Space Usagi comic book. But it definitely fits the aesthetic of the cartoon series like 100%, especially the cell shading. We all know I love cell shading. That's the way to my heart. And he's got cell shading and comic shading galore. It looks so good, as I say many times. The costume almost looks like a Mega Man character. Like, I love it because, it's like Mega Man Usagi. Pew, you got needle punch. And man, this looks good. It fits the aesthetic perfectly of the show. I love the color scheme. The black with the yellow, with the white highlights, the sort of brownish dark highlights, the red in the middle, his sort of, his look on his face, his bandana changed to gray rather than purple. It was purple before, and this is actually a new sculpt. This head is not the same as the old head. Now his alternate head, which we'll look at in a second, is actually from the first version of the figure, but we'll look at that in a second. Let's keep looking at the body for now. So articulation wise, like, he's articulated very well for such a small figure, just like the first one, right? Like, he can look up and down. The neck is articulated, so there's a ball on top, obviously. The ears are articulated still too. I'm sure you can pop this out. You'll need to pop it out for his space helmet. Cool thing about the shoulders is this is a soft piece and it's very loose. So you actually, it does not hinder arm movement whatsoever, which is really ballin'. He's got the bicep swivel right there. Single elbows, only single elbows, but he is a smaller character. But, I love the design notes, especially on these gauntlets too. They look so good. The cartoon shading, the cell shading, and, the crosshatch, the black shading that I love so much. Oh man, this looks so good. The hands, I'm sure, are reused from the first figure. He comes with, a bunch of different ones. These ones are punching in forward and backward moving. His mid section has a ball in there, so he does get, quite the range of movement. And then down to his legs, this piece right here is actually a soft piece again, so it doesn't hinder leg movement too much. So he can go, out like that, straight forward. He does have double knees, so there is double knees there. He's got these big, Mega Man. Like I said, this looks like a Mega Man, like, for real. He's got these Mega Man boots on with the red, like, gem in the middle, which looks pretty ballin' too. He's got this huge base on his feet, which go, forward and backwards a lot. Like, there's a lot of good movement with the feet. And then obviously it does swivel to the side. And now looking at the body, there is a production error on this. He does have a little paint scrape sort of on his little, I don't know, crotch, for lack of a better term. He's got a little paint scrape there. I don't think this black is supposed to be there. So there is a production issue with this one, but it's just that tiny little spot. Everything else looks pretty good as far as I could tell. I don't see any more dents and dings on him or anything like that. And obviously going around to the back, he has this right here, which is, I'm sure it's a jetpack for when he's out in space. And again, it's got the, you know, the dark comic shading, the cell shading on it. It matches the aesthetic of the cartoon turtles perfectly with the line work. He does have that dark gray, you know, leg band right there too, to give it a little bit of contrast. But I mean, overall, this costume I think is phenomenal. I love the colors, especially the yellow, sort of in contrast to the red, in contrast to the blue in his eyes too. It looks really, really good. I'm super impressed with the design notes on this. So let's look at his other head first. And like I said before, this head is the exact same head as the original figure. These two heads are the same. So there is a little bit of reuse here. I'm sure the hands are reused too, but this head is obviously reused from the first figure like I just showed. And that's what he looks like with that head on there. And it's definitely a drastic change. Like he's definitely, you know, way more intense looking. He's got his, you know, his teeth showing right there. But just like the first figure, the sculpt work is super good. It's all the fur and everything. Like it definitely feels like real fur when you touch it. But I definitely like this head a little bit better. And I don't know. I love all the design elements of this. And I can't wait to look at his accessories. But let's stay on the head because there is another head accessory here. Obviously, this is, you know, a space mask, you know, like a fishbowl like they used to do in the, you know, old cartoons and comic books, obviously. To get this on, obviously, it comes in half. You do have to take this off. So I'm going to do that real quick and see if there's any issues getting this on. Just put the ears back on through the helmet. And it's a good design because the ears hold the helmet on a little bit. When I had just the helmet on, it's very loose and it's still a little bit loose. But the ears, once you put them in, will, you know, hold it on a little bit. And, you know, it definitely fits the sort of cartoon, like old spaceman aesthetic, you know what I mean? And it looks good. I don't think they could have done this any other way. You have to be able to take it on and off. And that's why it'll always have that crease in it. But obviously, if you look at straight on, you can't even see it. It is a little crooked at times, right? You got to mess with it a little bit. But I think it looks pretty good. It fits the, you know, old cartoon aesthetic. Like, hey, I'm a spaceman. Pew! All right, and he does come with some firepower. So these are the first two things. He comes with, you know, energy weapons and bladed weapons. So obviously, these are his energy weapons. So there's a pistol right here, which is got some really, really, really neat sculpt work on it. Some micro sculpt work. The black hatch lines everywhere, which are, you know, NECA good, just like everything else in the cartoon series. The lines are absolutely perfect. The paint job is perfect. I don't know how they do it. And then obviously this is a more high-powered one. This is like a rifle one, and it's got the gray on it. I love the painted on tip right there with, again, the comic accents. The black painting on it is perfect, and it's nice hard plastic. I'm used to opening up G.I. Joes at this point, where the guns are all they're all fading to the right. Well, these are nice hard plastic, and they will last a lifetime, and they look pretty ballin'. And then these are his bladed weapons. So obviously these are, you know, still in a feudal Japan style, right? This one does have an accessory we'll look at next. It might be the piece of the set, but the sculpt work on these blades are both amazing. I love the handle on this one too, especially that yellow part at the bottom. That's a nice little touch right there with, I don't know how they do so much detail on here with the paint job. NECA, give me a tour of the facility or something. The blade's a nice white blade. It's nice hard plastic, nice pointy plastic. This knife or short sword is amazing. This one right here is almost just as good. Like the details on it, the painted details on the handle right there. It's got obviously, you know, some accents on the blade itself, but it's got that nice cartoon turtle aesthetic that the rest of the series has. It matches it to a T. All right, and this is the piece I wanted to see. This is like the energy for the sword. So it's like a soft plastic piece. It's semi-translucent. It's got a little blue in it, you know, and it's clear a little bit. And it's for this sword right here. Obviously, I'm going to try to do this through the camera. You're obviously going to slide the sword right in there, just like that. And bam, now you have sort of a futuristic space energy sword. And this looks amazing. I like how they did it as an extra piece that you can slide on the sword. I think that was definitely a nice touch because you can display them, you know, with or without it. It's your choice, however you want to display it. But I think it's ballin' like this. I think that looks great. Look at that. That looks great. And there is Spot. Spot does not have any articulation, as far as I can tell, just like the first one. This is the first one right here. So it's definitely a different pose. He's definitely a little bit bigger, but you know, you can see the similarities, right? This Spot is freaking adorable. I love it. And I definitely love Robo Spot too. I have no idea if this was in the comic book. I haven't read all the issues. I don't think he was in the pilot of the cartoon. It definitely fits the aesthetic of Spot from the first figure, but, you know, futurizes him into, you know, a robot form. It's so cute. And then hands. Man, he comes with a ton of hands. So he's got, you know, different size grippy hands. Obviously, that's a sword one right there. This is a little bit of a bigger one right here, probably for the gun. And then the same thing with the other side of each of these two. So there's a left and a right for each type of set. And there's a left and right open hand. The hand that he comes with is a punching hand. So he comes with a little bit of everything. So that's Space Usagi and all of his accessories. And one word of warning, the hands are very, very tight. They were hard to switch out. They were actually hard to get the new hands in there. Obviously, you know, if you're a super collector and you got heat guns and cool stuff like that, it'll probably be quicker. But they were very, very hard to get in there, the new hands. But they are in there. And, you know, with his accessories and everything out, everything in the open, we've seen everything at this point. I definitely love the aesthetic of the figure for sure. If you're an Usagi fan, I would definitely say that this is almost as cool as the original figure. The original figure is cool to have. We'll do a comparison in a second. But this is pretty awesome. This is a pretty awesome sort of niche item in the series, meaning it's not from the cartoon. It seems to be a creation just in the cartoon style. So it does look like it was from the cartoon, but it's not actually from the cartoon. And there's the Usagis together. So obviously, you know, height-wise, it's about the same. This guy's maybe a tad bit taller, Space Usagi, but it definitely fits the aesthetic of each of them. It definitely looks like the same person. This is original Usagi, you know, in feudal Japan. And this is Space Usagi going through the galaxy. And the way they did the figure was so good. I love the design notes. It definitely looks like these are the same person, meaning obviously over here he's got puffier clothes, looser clothes. So if they're, you know, nice and tight, then that's probably the same body underneath. But this is definitely a successful experiment for NECA for sure. All right, and that is the new Space Usagi. Space Adventure Usagi. It's definitely another killer figure in the NECA Cartoon Turtles line. He was never in the cartoon officially. He had his own cartoon, like I said, but it's an awesome design. It definitely looks like he could have easily been in the cartoon in some fashion, in some episode or so. His accessories are pretty cool. He does have some reuse in there. His hands are reuse, his other head is reuse. So he's definitely a cool figure, and he makes me interested in reading the old Space Usagi comic books. And it gets me excited for the new stuff that's coming out too, which is the purpose of this figure most likely. So he's definitely a beloved character. I think a lot of people are going to be looking for this figure. The black and white one looks pretty pimp too. And there's definitely other versions of this, like they showed at the New York Comic Con not too long ago. So it's definitely a worthy addition to the line, to the display. There is some production errors. The hands are hard to get on, and there's a paint scrape on him too, but I definitely dig his design notes and everything on it. Have you got him? Let me know below what you think of the figure. All right, guys, gals, non-binary pals, peace out. Subscribe, or Usagi will fly off to space and be very sad.